Hello all, welcome to the class. In today's video, I will explain image processing programs using OpenCV. Here we have to write a program to read a digital image, split and display image into 4 quadrants. The quadrant names are up, down, right and left. Let us understand the program first. What we have to do in this program is we have to read an image. And we have to split into 4 quadrants and display each quadrant separately across 2 figures. Let me take a image here as a sample. We are taking an image, reading an image, and our main aim is to divide this into 4 quadrants, and you have to display each quadrant 1, 2, 3 and 4 as 2 figures. Say for example, figure 1 has to display 2 quadrants, say 1 and 2, and the figure 2 has to display 3 and 4. This approach is useful for analyzing different sections of image separately, which can be beneficial in various image processing and analysis tasks. So let us quickly move to the program. So in order to perform all this, we need to import few libraries. Why? Because we are treating the image in terms of 2D array here, and also you are plotting it. So for this reason we need to import few library functions. The first library is Computer Vision OpenCV version 2. Then this is one of the library which is used for image processing tasks. Moving to NumPy, another library that you are importing, because here as I said earlier, image is treated as a array, 2-dimensional array. We have to perform some task on that array. So for that, we all know that NumPy must be used, which is most essential for manipulating the image data. The third one is Matplotlib, another library. This is used for visualizing images and creating plots. Then moving on to read the image. How do we read the image? By making use of .imread function. This helps to read the file from the path. This path where you have placed your input image. And the job of this task of this function is to fetch the file. It is going to fetch the file from this path into an array format that OpenCV can manipulate. This array is stored in the variable called image, img, and this will be used further for splitting the image. So let us move on to how do we split the image. So in order to split the image, we need to know the height and width of the image, because as I said earlier, you need to split the image into 4 quadrants. So you need to know what is the height of this image as well as what is the width of the image, height and width of the image. So for that, the function used here is .shape. This helps to get the values of height and width, because we are using the parameter like :2, which gives the dimensions needed for slicing the image array correctly. And especially this part extracts only the first 2 elements, which are called as height and width. So after extracting, we can label them as quadrant 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So how do we do this? In the image, this is the height and this is the width. How do we fetch the quadrants here? You need to exactly divide the image vertically as well as horizontally. Okay, so what is this value is W by 2, half of the width and half of the height to be extracted. Then only you can fetch this complete data as a separate image. Similarly, you can fetch this value, you can also fetch this separately, and you can also fetch this separately. So for that, quadrant 1, here we are calling that as a top left quadrant of the image, which takes the, you can also observe in the image here from beginning to width by 2, half of the width. Similarly, beginning to half of the height. So beginning to half of the height and beginning to half of the width, which will fetch me quadrant 1. Okay. Similarly, to fetch the quadrant 2, you can observe starting from this point. So it is midpoint of the width. So you can observe here the slicing. If you are good at slicing the array, you can understand in a better way. Starting from this point is width, half of the width till the end. So that's why the second parameter is not given. So till the end it is. Similarly, what is this point with respect to height is, it is a beginning to half. This is half of the height. So beginning to half of the height is going to fetch me quadrant 2. Similarly, go for the quadrant 3. For doing this, again start from this point and fetch all the pixels till here. Similarly, from this point to this point. Therefore, from height, half of the height till end, half of the height to till end, then width is from the beginning to half of the width. Similarly, for fourth quadrant, you have to start from here. So it is, what is that point? Half of the height from that point to till the end, then half of the width, this is the midpoint, half of the width to till end. That is going to fetch me the fourth quadrant. Likewise, we will be fetching all this data and storing it in quadrant 1, 2, 3 and 4. Next, moving on to plot the figure. So for that, we are considering the size to plot it 10 cross 5 inches. Okay, figure size what we are giving is 10 cross 5. This ensures the plots have enough space and they are very visually organized. Okay, because I need to do what? I need to plot figure 1 in such a manner that which has first quadrant and second quadrant. Okay. Moving on to next. So it's now the main task is over. Okay, so we have to only just plot them in a specific manner so that it looks good according to the requirement. So we are moving on to subplot. So this is what we are doing. It's 1 cross 2 grid. So it is a 1 cross 2 grid. That means 1 row and 2 columns in my figure. And placing, 1 stands for placing the first plot in the first position. So in this, I have to place my first diagram or subquadrant in the first position. After doing this, we all know that to display the image, IamShow can be used. Then we can make use of the title dot title function in order to give the title for our image, because this is whether first quadrant, second or third. We are calling that as a top left in the image. So you can give whatever label you want. Then followed by, we are making the pixels of the axis off, just to remove the axis ticks and other labels for clear look in the image. So you have obtained one diagram over here, one part of the figure. Then moving on to the second, the same thing you are doing for upright. Similarly, third and fourth, all quadrants will be displayed. One thing you can notice here also same thing, you are subplotting in the grid 1x2, but the second location you are choosing in the first figure to display the second quadrant. Similarly, figure size for the second figure, the same thing, 10x5. You can give the size by varying this. You can see how it looks on the during the output. Similarly, place the third quadrant in the first position and fourth quadrant in the second position. Rest all as same as the previous explanation. After doing all this, I think we have missed one statement here. It's you have to plot show dot show finally to display all the figures, and subplot is being created after this function. This function call is necessary to render the visualizations on the screen. So you need to write this at the end finally. So after doing all this, your output looks like this. This is what an image that you are taking as input, and after doing the slicing of all this into 4 quadrants, this becomes my first figure, first location, first figure, second location, and the second figure, first location, second figure, second location. Hope you understood the program. Thank you.